Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Simply Living PEI, and it's a canning day. So it's 8 a.m. I actually intended to start this about an hour ago, but I was not that ambitious. Yeah, it's going to be a long day, but that's okay. All right, this is what we're doing. We're going to talk about safe canning as we go, of course, because you know me. If it's not a safe recipe, I'm not going to do it. And today what we're making is stewed tomatoes. So we use a lot of stewed tomatoes, and yeah, it needs to get done. Now, if you've never used stewed tomatoes, basically it's chopped up tomatoes, or sometimes you can get half tomatoes when you buy the commercially prepared cans. They have onions, peppers, and celery in them. But when we do stewed tomatoes, it's all done by the ratios. So the recipe we're using is the Bernardin recipe. So don't forget, Bernardin and Ball, same company, just one's the Canadian side and one's the US. And for every 16 cups of tomatoes, it's so many onions, peppers, and celery. So first thing we have to do, though, is we need to peel the tomatoes. This is what I've got to peel. Are you ready? Look at these things. Aren't they beautiful? Ah! But this isn't all of them. We also have those. I did also buy the celery. My celery isn't quite big enough, but that's okay. That's all right. So I have 60 pounds of field tomatoes to make our diced tomatoes. Yeah. Now, if I don't get them all in, diced tomatoes? Sorry, stewed tomatoes. If I don't get them all in for the stewed tomatoes, I do know I need some diced tomatoes as well. So I'm kind of hoping I can do half and half. But let's get the prep work started because we have a lot of tomatoes to blanch and peel. So I've already cored the one because I wasn't 100% sure if this little strawberry core would work. But if you've got one, yeah, this little guy, he's working really well. Look at that. Ta-da! Now to prep the tomatoes to get them ready to be blanched and water bathed, you quite literally just core the tomato. And I had a knife. Where'd my knife go? Where'd my little knife go? There's the little knife I was looking for. And then you just take the bottom, put a little X on the bottom. Like that. And that'll get these ready to be blanched. So I'm going to do this to a whole bunch of tomatoes on this board here. And then we'll actually start blanching them together. All right, I got to get to work. We have a lot of tomatoes. We have a lot of tomatoes to go through. I only found one bad part of a tomato so far. Okay, so now this water isn't quite hot enough yet because I didn't turn it on soon enough because, hey, that requires thought. So I got about enough tomatoes on this so far that I don't really have a lot of room to work anymore. Now, the way I've done it is I've got the cutting board on top of my big sheet pan, so when the juices roll off and everything, I'm really not going to lose any. It also saves me from a really big mess. I also have my other pot and my two biggest bowls here and ready to go. So as I blanch them, they'll go in the bowls and then the bowls will move over. Now normally you'd put them in cold water so they'd stop cooking as well, but I'm not gonna lie, I just do not have enough pots and bowls and things to do that. So I'm just gonna be putting them in the bowls, moving them aside, and then we'll start peeling them. But I will show you the blanching here as soon as this gets hot enough. It is blanching time. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit. We'll pop in a few tomatoes. Must make some room. Now, depending on the tomatoes, if they're super, super ripe, this happens actually pretty quickly. You end up blanching them for about a minute or so. And once they're done blanching, you'll actually be able to see, because like on this guy here, see how it's already starting to peel? I'm actually going to take that out. It wasn't even a minute for that one. Oh, let me see, how about you? Oh, he's coming off too, so we'll pop him out. These are really nice tomatoes, so I can't see this taking very long at all. All right. I think I need some more water in here, though. I don't think I have quite enough water. So, like, I literally only want these in here long enough to be able to peel them. If I can do this with my finger, that's all I care about. Okay, yeah, I definitely didn't put enough water in. So I have to let this heat back up again, and then I'm going to keep blanching these tomatoes. Well, this is the last of the first 20-pound box. Just going to let these things blanch, and then we're going to start peeling. There we go. All right, guys. Let me show you how we're going to take care of the tomatoes from here. Okay, so here's that first bowl of tomatoes. I have it on my cutting board, just mostly because I want to make sure you guys knew what I'm doing. But anyway, let's talk the recipe. Now, we'll go through the other veggies in a minute as well, once we get there. But the base ratio is 16 cups of diced tomato. This is my big 8-cup measuring cup. So for every 2 of these, I'll be adding the ratios for the onions, peppers, and celery. So first things first is we're going to start cutting up the first 8 cups of tomatoes. But I'll show you how we're going to peel these first, okay? So, got my little handy dandy knife here. Now I know I can be blanching them more, but I didn't want the tomatoes cooked, which does mean the peeling is going to be a little bit more annoying for me, but I did it on purpose. A lot of people blanch them a lot longer than I do. I just blanch them just enough to get the tomatoes skins off, and the tomatoes are not hot to the touch. See? Done. 1 diced tomato. Skins out of the way. Get the big knife out. And from here, it is literally a quick chop. See? Diced tomatoes. Alrighty. I'm going to dice all these up, and then we're going to continue on with all the other veggies. And we'll get this canning day seriously going. Well, guys, that is what 2 batches of diced tomatoes look like. To give you a good reference, this is a big pot. It's up to about there. There is also an extra 4 cups, so I'll add a little bit of the extra veggies for all this too. So next step, it is time for the food processor, because I'm not about to cut onions and celery by hand. Okay, so now technically it's only supposed to be 1/4 cup of green pepper that goes into this recipe, but I actually like more than that, so I'm going to do more than that. So when I clean the peppers, I take all the ribs out, of course, all the seeds. I like to really clean them up a lot. Now, even though these are the imperfect peppers from the grocery store, there's no bad spots, nothing like that. I'm not going to use the flour end. Yeah, flower end. Oh my gosh. There we go. All right. And the second pepper. We'll start with 2. We'll see how much it gives us and we'll go from there, okay? Alrighty. There we go. Now there's a few pieces in here that are a little bit bigger. So let me yank those real quick. Just dump it in our... As soon as I remember how this thing comes off. Hold on. There we go. Woot! I probably should have chopped these. These aren't as small as I wanted them to be. Oh well. I'm not that worried about it either. But I want more peppers, so I'm going to actually cut up one more. And then we'll move on to the onions and celery. That's better. I didn't use the pulse that time. I know it's a little bit small, and the recipe actually does say to chop them up, but I also got a hubby that's not overly fond of peppers and onions, so I'm just going to do it this way. Well, guys, there we go. Now there's some greeny and red in with the onions, just because the peppers were like green and red. Now this massive pot of stuff, now we have to try and stir. So the way this works from here, and this is going to take a while, is this needs to come to a boil. But let's see if we can stir it up first. So, what's in here is, like I said, 36 cups of diced tomatoes. I have about a cup and a half, which is a little more than what the recipe asks for, of onion, because I kind of like the onion. I have 3 cups of celery. And about a cup of green pepper. And believe it or not, that's not everything that goes in here. Okay, so for every recipe, so basically every 16 cups of stewed tomatoes, you need a tablespoon of sugar. Now I'm putting 2.5 tablespoons in because I do have a little bit of extra tomato and a little bit extra of the other veggies. The other thing we need are 2 teaspoons of salt per recipe. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the recipe calls for basil, and I know I have some somewhere. I think. Where's it oregano? Now I have to look. Nope, the recipe does call for dried basil. Now I know you don't have to put it in, and I can't seem to find mine, so I'm not going to put it in. Got lots of oregano. All right, I'm not going to worry about it. I didn't put it in last time either. All right. Time to try and stir these in. It is starting to cook. I can kind of hear it down there. Now as it cooks, of course, all the veggies will get mixed in a lot better. All right. So this actually has to come up to a boil, but it has to boil for 10 minutes. And while this is working on its thing, I'm going to get the canner ready. It's probably going to be about 3 canner loads. I was going to do the manual canner as well, but I kind of changed my mind. I can heat as I go. Okay, I am sitting in my rocking chair. Yes, I have a rocking chair. I bought it for, the nice evenings, when the fire's going and I can sit here and read or, mess around on the iPad or... So time to talk about the veggies. So I mentioned earlier we're going to talk about the safe canning practices. Now, simply put, veggies that are not bad, underripe, super overripe, anything along those lines. If you're not comfortable eating it, you shouldn't can with it. I got rid of 2 tomatoes that had broken and I wasn't 100% really confident with them, so I just got rid of them. As you probably noticed when I showed you the tomatoes, there's a couple that still have a little bit of yellow on the top. When I peeled them, I cut the yellow off. It's tough, doesn't taste good. Got rid of it. Now the onions. When you're working on the onions, of course, any blemishes, any soft spots, good onions. Simply put. Peppers, any soft spots, it's better to take the ribs out of peppers when you do process them as well. If you're going to freeze them, if you're going to put them in a recipe like this, it's actually really good to take the ribs out. Ribs can be bitter, especially when they're cooked, so not so great. Now the celery is one of the super important ones. You have to wash the celery. Obviously you don't want any dirt or sand or leftover tenants from when they were in the fields or in the garden or wherever you get your celery. Wash it really, really well. So basically, if you're going to can fruits, veggies, doesn't matter. Can the good stuff. Get it at the peak of freshness. Yay! These are going to be water bath canned because it is a tomato-based product, so the pH value is pretty high. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting probably about a half a teaspoon of lemon juice in each jar. Not because I think the pH may be too low. It's just to give that little bit extra acidity just in case. All these tomatoes are a product of Quebec. And, they look fabulous. These tomatoes were seconds. The ones that nobody wanted because they weren't pretty. Some of these tomatoes are beautiful. Beautiful enough that we're actually going to have bacon tomato sandwiches for lunch. Oh, yeah. Totally taking advantage of one of these tomatoes. All right, now, canning itself. These are 500 milliliter jars, so they're going to be processed for 15 to 20 minutes. I always add the extra 5 minutes in the electric pressure canner. That's just a me thing. The extra 5 minutes in the canner is not going to be a problem whatsoever. Let them cool until it gets to the point where the canner says you can open it. When you're ready to pull them, let them sit for a good 10-15 minutes before you yank them out of the canner. Just gives them a little bit extra time to climatize once you pull the lid off. And then you're good to go. I don't know what else to tell you about that when it comes to the veggies. But I'm going to go give that a stir because I can hear it bubbling away. And I'm going to prep the canner and wash the first set of jars. So hopefully... I'm shooting for 21 jars. Here's hoping. All right, it is time to can the tomatoes. Okay. All right. Now, there are some bigger pieces of some of the veggies in here, but to be honest, I'm really not that worried about it. Because veggies are good. They're good for you. Now, I washed the jars. Got them nice and hot and kind of re-checked them over again as well. You don't want any chips or notches, especially around the top rim. Because if you do that, then you will end up with a seal that's not going to be very good. And then, of course, when I wipe the rims down, I check again. Just because, you know, it's me and I like to make sure. Oh, I've got a couple in here that I need a little bit more. So when you're canning tomatoes like this, it should be a good 1/2-inch headspace. In our case, I've got a couple of jars here that need a little bit more. Now I've already washed all my lids and set them there. It's my paper towel with a little bit of vinegar. We'll wipe down the rims. I'll wipe that one again because it kind of took a tip. There we go. All right, and like I said, I'm going to put that 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice in each one, just in case. I'd rather have it a little too acidic than not acidic enough. Lids on. Now the 4 jars lids are the same as the Ball and Bernardin lids. You do not have to boil them and keep them in hot water. You just got to give them a wash. Newer technology, newer way things are made. They are perfectly safe. And you don't really have to worry about it. Now, put them on finger tight, guys. Don't crank them on. If you crank the lids on, the lids can buckle. And there's a lot of work now that just, well, you better hope you want chili for supper. Okay, let's put these first 4 in. Now when I put my lids on, I tend to put my finger through the ring and hold the lid in place just in case I kind of knock it out of place. So like that. Oops, just like that. See, I just knocked it out of place. And you know you've got the lid on in a good spot because the ring just kind of spins on. Nice and easy, see? There we go for 7 jars in the canner. We started at 8 o'clock this morning. It is now 20 after 11. Yeah, I'm a little bit slow this year when it comes to standing here chopping and things because, well, I kind of did a ugly number on my back when we put that step in. Hence the reason why there's been no Step Saga Part 2. But we'll talk about that another day because we have another job that we're working on. And we'll get that done first. Alrighty. Canner is currently warming up. I'm going to put the lid on these tomatoes and keep them on warm so they don't cool down on me. And we're going to make some lunch. I'll see you when this canner load's all done. Well, if you thought we were done with the tomatoes, we're not done yet. So first of all, I forgot to put water in these tomatoes because these were the fresh tomatoes. And yeah, I might have burnt a couple of the skins, but that's not going to mess with what we're making. Check it out. That's celery. So I actually just cut that out of the garden. That's one of our celeries that we planted. I probably have, I don't know, 7 or 8 garlic in there. Let's get one more ingredient. Last ingredient, good old Liam Perrins. There we go. So it works out, woo, steamy. Works out to be about 1/4 cup. Okay? All right. This is nowhere near done cooking down yet. This is going to go for probably another hour or so. So what am I making? Technically, it's Cesar tomato juice. All right, so now I follow a couple that actually live in Portugal, and they made Bloody Mary juice or Bloody Mary tomato juice, however you want to put it. And I got thinking, I actually like the flavor of that without the Bloody Mary part, being that I'm Canadian, without the Cesar part. Well, okay, every blue moon Cesar part. But just the whole idea just sounded so good. So that box of tomatoes that I bought when you guys saw the shopping video a bit ago, half of that is in that pot right now. And we're going to make some tomato juice. So this has got to cook for a while longer. And then we're going to put it through the mill. Let's see how well this comes out. I snuck a taste. It's seriously tasting good. It's almost ready to mill. Yay! So I'm going to let this cook probably another hour and shut it off and let it cool down a bit before I mill it. I've never milled celery before, so this ought to be interesting. We'll probably have green flecks and stuff in it, but I'm not worried about it. Well, this is the first time I've ever milled celery, and so far so good. Looks good. Oops. Got to make sure the mill doesn't fall in. So I'm going to mill all this up, and then we'll can it up, and hopefully it comes out as good as theirs did. Well, I have it all milled. So this is just my big, massive measuring cup. You guys have seen this before. And I also have one of the big pots in the fridge. I let it get cold, milled it out great. You can see the spots where those few tomatoes stuck. That was my own stupid fault. I did not put water in here. Oh my, talk about a day. Anyway, guys, like I said, those are the four or five little spots where a few tomatoes stuck, but it did not affect the flavor at all. So, yeah, I will wash the jars in the morning. We'll warm that up, and I'll show you what else is going to go in it, because we, of course, got to add some lemon juice. Got to make sure she's got a good pH, but there's a couple extra additions, okay? I'll see you in the morning. Just took the tomato juice out of the fridge. Of course it separates, but don't worry about that. I'm going to see if I can get all of this in there. Hopefully it fits. Ooh, ooh, talk about the hairy edge of disaster. Ha ha. Okay, so we have the right pH. We're going to add some lemon juice. We're going to add some more Worcester because, trust me, totally worth it. Not a ton, of course. And we're also going to add some chili flakes. Not a lot. Probably about a half teaspoon, give or take. And we're going to add the same amount of kosher salt. Just enough to kind of keep it well within what we need for canning. And now we have to let this warm up. So it comes up to temperature for canning. So the way it's going to work is we're going to be canning these in 500 milliliter jars, and they will can for 20 minutes, same as we do for tomatoes. So basically it's like a really thin sauce, guys. But of course we do not do cold canning unless I'm doing like vegetables or the diced tomatoes. So once this comes up to heat, we'll get this in jars and we'll get it in the canner. Okay, canner is ready. The juice is hot. Now when you're canning tomato juice, I am discovering that you do have to keep this stuff moving. Because if you don't keep it moving, then it'll separate and you won't have all the good stuff in every single jar. Here we go. Turn this temperature right down. Now I did check, and canning tomato juice is 1/2 inch headspace. So halfway up the neck of the jars. Now I should have more than enough for the 7 jars that I'm that I've got. Should be 1 canner load. And of course, don't forget, got to keep going with those safe canning practices. Make sure you clean your rims. Look for creases, look for cracks, look for chips, because you do not want to spend all your time canning something in a jar just to have to, you know, freeze it or use it immediately because there was a chip and it didn't seal. Mind you, from the taste of this, oh yeah, by the way, 100% Freddie approved, which I thought was kind of cool. You know something? I think I have a lot more juice than I thought. There's 4 jars filled. Look at that. I might be able to get 2 batches. Yay! All right. Which is kind of good because I'm not going to lie, this stuff tastes really good. Maybe we will do 2 loads of 6. I think that's what we're going to do, guys. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 2 loads of 6 because this made a lot more juice than I thought. But that's okay. Okay, our paper towel with some vinegar. Now you could wipe them with water if you really wanted to, but I like the vinegar because it does that little disinfectant around the edge as well. Now, of course, if you were canning and pressure canning meat, soup, stocks, all that kind of stuff, vinegar always, because vinegar breaks down any fat that might be on the rim of your jars. So don't forget, if you're going to can it, you might as well can it safely and have stuff that you can use for the whole season, right? Now I've already washed the lids. Now don't forget, when you read Ball and Bernardin and the 4 jars and everything, they have changed these now where you really don't have to keep them in boiling water like you used to. Such a good thing. Alrighty guys, I'm going to pop these in the canner. They will water bath can for 20 minutes. Just don't forget, it's a tomato product with the extra lemon juice, so the acidity value is definitely high enough that water bath canning tomatoes is perfectly safe. All right, I'll show you what they look like when they're all done, and we'll kind of go from there. So we started this whole adventure too just talking about those stewed tomatoes, and I have no idea how long this whole video is going to be now because I decided to show you more than just my stewed tomatoes. And I'll also show you what we ended up with, okay? All right, we'll see you in a few hours once I get all this done. You guys want to see the cutest thing in the world? You ready? Check that out. It's a little printer. Look at that. Okay, so I'll tag the page down below where this came from. There are a couple in Portugal. They do a lot of canning. They do a whole bunch of stuff, right? And, well, they were doing the recipe that I kind of appropriated, which is the Cesar. Now, of course, they're in Europe. It's Bloody Mary to them, but in Canada, of course, they're called Cesars. So what I did is I sent them a message and I said, where did you get your little printer? And they gave me the name. And I found this one. So I thought I'd show you just how cute this little thing actually is. Welcome. Okay. Excuse me. So I need 11 of this specific label. You ready for this? I love it. Ta-da! Is that not just the cutest thing in the world? Now this is a little thermal printer. I got it on a really good sale. I'll put the model number in the description for you below. But this is not the only thing that we made today. I also made Fred some pickled beets. And I also need 11 of those. Look at that. Okay, this is fun. Excuse me. The allergies and I are seriously having a fight today, I'm telling you. And just like that, 22 labels. I love it. Okay, guys, so I really have no idea how long this video is going to be because I haven't even begun editing it yet. So you're going to definitely notice a change in our conversation because we started with safely canning stewed tomatoes. And now I have made a total, a total of 58 jars for stewed and diced tomatoes, 11 jars of the Cesar tomato juice, and 11 jars of pickled beets. And I actually still have maybe not quite half a box yet of those Roma tomatoes we picked up that one shopping trip. So yay! Now let's talk about value, all right? Stewed tomatoes right now on a good sale are like $1.99. Yeah, $1.99. So now with all the stewed tomatoes, I have 20, 31, 34 jars of stewed tomatoes. So if you take $2 a jar, that's like 60 some odd dollars alone. Now, I don't count my processing time and all that other kind of stuff because I do it, I enjoy it, I find it relaxing. Yes, I get tired, but for me, it is not a chore, okay? Diced tomatoes, same thing. On a good sale, $1.99. So for me, value-wise, it works really well because we only paid $39 for those 3 boxes of field tomatoes. That was it. I spent $2 on the celery and $5 on the peppers, but I still had 2 peppers left over. So I'm going to say $3.50. So either way, I got all the value back just by making the stewed tomatoes. So yay, I'm happy. So I'm going to label the jars that I have finished and get them put away. And, well, thanks for hanging out on my absolutely massive multi-day canning. And we'll see you next time as we continue our simpler life on PEI. Bye for now.